One of my favorite things to do with trimmings whenever I make a chicken or turkey is to make a soup out of it. So today we're going to be making a turkey soup, and we're start by chopping up our mirepoix. So mirepoix is a French term that refers to basically a flavor base consisting of onions, carrots, and celery. So I'm going to quickly chop this up, and I'm not really going for a specific size or shape. As long as it just fits in a spoon, it's enough for me. And I don't really ever measure out the ingredients exactly. I kind of just pick however much I want. And I really find it's hard to kind of mess up. I never really find like, oh, this is too much onion, this is too much celery, this is too much carrot. It's a little fun experimenting each time, and you never really know what the final taste is going to be like, but it's half the fun for me. So the size, like I said, I try to keep them even, but as long as it fits in a spoon, that's fine. And like I said, generally, I kind of just aim for the equals amounts of onions, celery, and carrots. And in total, I just want to make sure there's enough onions, carrots, and celery so that each bowl of soup has a good amount and that you don't have any bowls of soup without a lot of ingredients in it. So now that we've cut off the mirepoix, I'm taking a large pot, in this case it's a Dutch oven, and I'm just going to start searing off the turkey. You can notice how there's very little oil in the bottom of this pot right now, and later on you'll actually see a lot of the oil from the turkey naturally come out, and we're actually going to strain a bit of this, but what you can see on the bottom is the fond, which is like the little brown bits, and that's really good later for developing flavor for our stock. As you can see, I'm kind of doing this in batches and moving the pieces off as they're brown to my liking. This is mainly just to avoid overcrowding, and by doing this, it makes sure that each piece gets good contact with the bottom. Once all the pieces are brown to my liking, I'm just going to go ahead and remove them, place them on the cooking sheet to the side, and I'll kind of drain this oil. It tastes really good, but we don't really want all of this. At least I don't. You can leave it in if you want. So I'm just going to pour this off in a bowl to the side. And then I'm going to toss in my mirepoix and a little bit of water. I'm going to try to scrape up the fond, which is the brown bits on the bottom, like I said before. And I'm just going to try to scrape that off, make sure it doesn't burn. And then once I kind of dissolve that all into the water, I'm going to nestle my turkey pieces back in, and I'm going to pour water in it for a big pot. Just make sure everything's covered and make sure everything's nestled in underneath the water nicely. So here I'm actually going to throw in some thyme, one big bay leaf, and I'm going to cover this up and let it boil for about 20 minutes. The longer you go, the more flavorful your stock is going to be, but I don't want to boil it too long because the meat becomes kind of tough and like not as good. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the chicken pieces, and I do this just so I can shred it later, so it's easier to eat, obviously, because you don't really want to serve that giant piece of bone in your soup. And you notice I made a mistake here. I didn't take the thyme out first, and I didn't tie them together, so I kind of have to dig around and find them. This is a kind of a waste of time looking for the thyme. That was dumb. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. Once that's done, I'm gonna throw in my potatoes and kabocha pumpkin. I didn't throw these in earlier because if you cook them too long, they start to kind of fall apart and disintegrate on you. So I'm just gonna go ahead, put them in now, and cover it back up. And in the 10 minutes that this takes to kind of get soft, I'm gonna go ahead and shred the turkey. And after the time's up, go ahead, check for tenderness. It goes through a fork pretty easily, or it gets pierced with a fork pretty easily. So I'll go ahead, kind of remove the bay leaf now, and just give it a mix and taste it before I start seasoning it. See where I'm at. And because of all the water, and we haven't really added any salt either, I know this can take a lot of salt, so I'm gonna be very generous here and just sprinkle it all in. And I'll give this a mix. Taste it and adjust again. So I think this is going to need a little more salt. So I'm going to add some salt. And I think soy sauce is actually really good here. It adds a good color and a lot of umami. So I actually really like turkey stock because I like how the fat coats your mouth. And I'm going to add the turkey back in here now that it's at a point where I'm happy. And just mix it again. And it's actually ready to eat here. So I made this at 3 a.m., so I'm not going to eat it now. So the next day, all I did was I heated it up, sprinkled it with a little bit of black pepper, and it's really good. I think I really prefer this over chicken. Thank you for watching.